Hello, and welcome to the hashtag Here to Hear Keeping It 100 podcast. My name is Damon Naylor, and I'll be serving as your host. I'm the NAFCM media guru, and I'm joined by my co-host, DG Mon, the president of NAFCM. What's going on, DG?
Doing great, Damon. How are you doing?
Doing great, awesome, and just excited because we have a brilliant guest with us tonight, and that's none other than Gary Doernhaefer out of Manitou Springs, Colorado. And Gary is the founder of ADR Notable. And, without further ado, we want to bring him in and hang out with him tonight because I know everybody's excited to hear from this guy. So let's bring him in.
Bring him on. I'm excited.
Well, hello, Gary, and welcome. We have just introduced you to the audience, and as always, we give our participants a chance to just share with the audience anything they want to on a personal side.
Nothing in particular, just happy to be here. Happy to see that we actually captured DG, who's a man who's hard to pin down in any one location at a given time. So great to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're going to jump right into it. Doing more with less. Case management software for dispute resolution centers or community mediation centers. And we want to hear about your journey, Gary. Share with us your journey into technology. How did you get involved and get into this space?
Right. So it's a great question. It's a kind of a fun story that, winds its way through my career. So I started out practicing attorney with a big firm doing litigation. And after a few years went in-house and then spent a number of years as an in-house attorney. So 9 years with American Airlines. And then got recruited to be the general counsel for Orbitz, which is the travel website that originally built by the airline, the 5 big airlines. And then we went public, and then that company was sold. And I moved into a technology startup company with some colleagues from Orbitz, rebuilding a solution that had been built for Orbitz to check for credit card fraud. And it worked great for Orbitz. Orbitz, as I said, was sold. A bunch of us left, got back together with the external team that built that solution, built a new company, and it led a ridiculously charmed life and was eventually sold to American Express. And then I went back into the airline industry for a little bit as a general counsel again for the Global Trade Association for the airline industry. And it's that in-house experience and the general counsel experience that got me really back focused on ADR in general. When you're in charge of managing risk and trying to keep your expenses down, litigation is just insane. You can't control the pace, the timing, even predicting the likelihood of success is all just very difficult. So I became a pretty strong advocate again for ADR in that role as general counsel and trying to manage risk at a reasonable cost for the organizations that I was responsible for. When I left there, my wife was a college professor at a small school in Ohio, so I was kind of living a little bit as a bachelor for a few years there with the International Air Transport Association because it's based in Montreal. So back to Ohio, looking for something to do and really feeling like I wanted to kind of do one more thing that gives back to the society I live in, and found ADR as one definite path for that. I got associated with the faculty at the Ohio State University School of Law. Yeah, wonderful people, incredibly smart, very exciting. They're doing great things in community projects, in the Divided Communities Project and things like that. I took a little short course on mediation from which I learned I would not be a very good mediator. By personality, I'm just more directed. You got a problem, I'll give you a solution, get out of my office, right? I mean, that's sort of the way I am. And I could probably, in small doses, slow that down a little bit, but it didn't come naturally. So So that left then an observation that there was this huge gap in in ADR, that lawyers, law firms, legal departments, in-house all had great case management tools, but no one had ever looked at the process flow from the perspective of the mediator or arbitrator and built a case management product to exactly fit that process. And that's how it got started.
Very interesting journey. I guess a few things stick out to me. And one is, you were looking for something that you wanted to give back. You wanted to help, which is very interesting. The other thing, you say you found out what you didn't like or what wasn't you, which was the mediation. And then you found a need. You saw that there was a gap, and you filled that need with what you're doing. So just awesome tidbits of your journey being able to share with us, and we thank you for that. And so the next question is, what are some examples of how technology can be used to help community mediation centers operate more efficiently and effectively?
Sure. Well, we now have at least 12 community mediation centers on board. And so we've taken a lot of lessons from them because we've started with them over the years, and we listen to what they need, what they want. And some of the things that are, the problems we try and address for them as sort of one very beginning: intake. How do you get a new parties into your system? And we've automated that, so you can create your own intake form, and you can send the link to the party, and it can be presented very simply. So it can present one question at a time. It's mobile friendly. So they fill out all that data that you need, and it takes the manual data entry off the plate of the community mediation center, and puts it on the party. Because then when that form comes back, it just autofills the case file in our product. So very smooth, very quick, very configurable to the needs of any particular organization. Then from there, I mean, scheduling is, I think, the biggest nightmare for community mediation associations, bar none, right? It's the bane of their lives. And we've worked very hard at crafting products that work well to allow an administrator to see who's available, and schedule, in blocks of time or ad hoc, or it's very flexible, and it does both, helps find the time that all the parties are available and a neutral to help them, and it gives the administrator the big picture view of what people are doing, where and when, and so forth. So it tries to do both that kind of micro level and the macro level in a single tool. So, and now, we work with some bigger firms, and we've created a panel management component where you can put all your neutrals into a database, and then it can be, if you want to, you can embed it on your website so that people can see who your neutrals are, or it can just be facing inwardly to the administrators, gives the individual neutrals the ability to tweak their own bio and so forth. But then it allows you to filter and sort on skill sets or availability and various things, so that you can rapidly get to the neutral who best fits a particular case. I guess the last one is reporting. This was a little bit of a nightmare on our side, because every group we talked to wanted their data to be extracted different ways. And for a while, we got into the habit of just custom building reports. And I finally kind of turned to the tech team and said, this is not sustainable. We need to not keep doing this. So we are just now tiptoeing into the market, in fact, with a couple of our community mediation associations, with a brand new product that uses artificial intelligence to help you build the report you want. So you can go into this new tool and just speak to it like a regular person, like you're sitting across from the software developer who's going to build your report. You tell the AI engine what you want your data to be, how you want it to extract it, what you want your report to say or to look like. And it actually writes software code, and then that code is used to extract the data out of ADR Notable and format it the way you want. And then it's iterative until you get it to look just the way you want. And then you push a button and it freezes the code that it wrote to extract that report. And you can do repeat reports over time.
And that's fascinating there. Like you say, helping with the intakes, the scheduling, the reporting, and those are all key areas, especially like I like what you talked about with the scheduling, seeing the micro and the macro, just having that big picture, being able to, coordinate the scheduling.
Right.
So wonderful too, wonderful too. Did you have any questions for Gary?
It sounds both simple and rather needed. So I wonder, you say you have a few centers. What has been some of the resistance or possibly the slow adaptation of what you're offering? What have you encountered? What do you think is
Yeah.
have been people's questions?
Like I say, we have over 12 or 13, somewhere around there right now. And that pace has picked up. So one of the things that's interesting, DG, is I think there was just resistance to technology. It was just a part of this business. I mean, we coming from the legal field, we used to laugh about how badly lawyers lagged in the adoption of technology. And so often mediators and arbitrators were lawyers and who are in the legal profession. So it's sometimes you think that they even lag their former colleagues in the legal profession. But that I think there's a few demographic things that are that are changing that. One is the older folks who are less adaptable are just aging out, right? They're leaving the practice and they're being replaced by younger people. And if you think about it, I'm a little older than this line, but if you're about 65 years old now today, and you're a lawyer or a judge, and you're shifting your practice, that traditional pathway into ADR, you had a computer on your desk from the first day you were in practice, and that's very recent. I tell the story that one of my summer clerkships during my 3 years of law school, we still had a typing pool where you hand wrote your brief and you turned it in, and overnight there was a mainframe word processing system. Somebody typed it all up for you, and you got it in your inbox first thing in the morning, beautifully typed. And as you edited by hand, and you did this cycle. If you're really under the gun, you could go down to the typing pool and plead with somebody to turn it around same day, and otherwise it was always overnight. But by the time I graduated, there was a computer on my desk as a lawyer. So I think that's happening. I think that, I think the whole profession is attracting younger people. I think it is becoming more of a profession. It's becoming a recognized career path to go right into dispute resolution and conflict management. And that means that you're bringing in people who are much more likely to be comfortable with technology and useful. And I think COVID honestly gave us a little boost on technology. People were compelled to at least learn, the venue and the means that we're speaking on right now, and it worked out pretty well. And I think a lot of people said, what else can technology do for me to make my practice work?
My follow-up is, with the AI able to create these reports you need or certain algorithms, what are the security measures? A lot of our centers deal with very confidential material. We generally only publish a final agreement if one is reached. Yet we're storing on your system a variety of documents that we would not want public. And AI has a habit of scraping wherever it pleases. So what do you have in place to assure that won't happen to someone using your system?
Yeah. So let me just even back up a little bit. So the whole product is designed with the security of ADR in mind. So it's hosted in the cloud. It's hosted in the Microsoft Azure cloud. So we benefit from all of the infrastructure protections that can be devised by Microsoft, about as good as it's going to get. Then our individual software, we pay a lot of attention to the way it works. So, both in terms of how it sits in that infrastructure, because there are still things you have to adjust, and also just design characteristics. So there's a concept called privacy by design. And what it does is just you think through how the product is going to be used, and you build into it things that enhance the confidentiality privacy protections. For example, we encourage organizations to let everybody use the product. And we've even changed our pricing to encourage that. So the pricing is no longer based on a per seat cost. And we just say, so, okay, once you buy this, get everybody on it. But inside the application, there are access controls. So any one mediator can only see the cases to which they have been assigned, period. You can have people who are doing other administrative tasks who can see what they need to do the administrative task, but cannot look into a case and see notes of the mediator or documents uploaded, things like that. So we have, what's called role-based access controls throughout. We also built into it knowing that folks often delete the confidential materials at the earliest possible moment when a matter is closed. So we have, one step in our process is you touch a button in a case that's called secure delete, and you get a window, and you just get check boxes, and it says delete notes, delete documents uploaded, delete checklists I use, delete, and we can go all the way down to even taking out the contact information for parties. And we developed that for ombuds who don't want any of that kept. They use false, fictitious names for the parties, and the only identifying characteristic would have been the email address. So you can even delete that out of the system. You can either delete it immediately or schedule it for delete. So there's infrastructure controls, then there's privacy by design, and then you asked about AI. AI, we have a closed system. So we are running our own AI engine that is not exposed externally. And in fact, our chief security officer is so intense about this. We actually have 3 different engines that are not permitted to talk to one another. So we have one that is a coach. It's a thought assistant based on Professor John Landy's work. Then we have the one I was describing, which creates your reports, is an isolated bot all on its own and does not talk to anybody else. And then there's a third bot that can provide case or individual document summarization. And again, it's exclusive. It doesn't talk to anything other than that function. And all of it is within our controlled system.
Wow. So it seems like it's pretty safe there, right? Pretty safe.
Yeah. Our chief technology officer has a master's degree in cybersecurity. So
wow.
He's intense.
Awesome. Really good. Really good. And so, if somebody, we would say a community mediator, community mediation centers who are listening to this, who are viewing this, and they're still feeling kind of reluctant, what would you say to, kind of prompt them and motivate them to want to get involved more with the technology,
Sure.
The ADR?
Well, we'd be happy to do a demo anytime, free, no obligation. That's easy. You get to see the product in action. But, we have some of the folks who are running the mediation centers around the country that are on our app are happy to talk with folks as well. And, I can say, we asked earlier about making things more efficient. One of them has implemented our software. It went from about 430 cases and 2 years later, they had nearly tripled it. And in 2026, this year, they hit last year's numbers with 4 more months to go in their fiscal year. And they have said to me, couldn't have been done without ADR Notable. And they did it with same size staff, no change in staff size.
And then the final question we have for you, Gary, we're so glad to have ADR Notable as a part of NAFCM. But what made you guys want to join and become a part of NAFCM?
Well, when I go back to the very beginning, David, when I said I wanted to give back, what better place to come to bring this product to try and give back than NAFCM? That is, trying to reach a segment of the market and be efficient and help out folks who may not be able to just go pay for the $800 an hour mediator, but they still need that conflict resolved. They need some help. from a professional trained third party to get past it. And we really work very hard to try and keep the product we're price sensitive to where you guys are, try to keep it affordable and be able to support as many of the community mediation organizations as we can possibly reach. So we do, we have those, we have solo practitioners, and we have some of the bigger firms as well. But, kind of my heart's a little bit in with the NAFCM crowd.
But Gary, these interviews go by so fast, and we're at the time there, and we thank you for coming on, as we always say, for keeping it 100. You have surely done that. Very interesting journey, very great information for our viewers there. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Gary, for your commitment to the field. And we look forward to the progress, learning more as people continue to test ADR Notable.
Sounds great. Just find us at adrnotable.com and see if we can help out.
All right. Any final words, Gary?
No, not just that. I mean, it's been great to spend some time with both of you again. And I really would look forward to helping out any of your members to see if we can, bring a little bit of this technology into their shop and make them a little bit more effective and able to service a few more people each year without having to increase their staff size.